Hello, good day to yous, and welcome back to Stories, The Path of Destinies. Whew, finally getting to it. I'd almost forgotten that I hadn't finished this, at least in its entirety. Just a few more paths to cross off, and then we'll be done. If I can just figure out what paths I haven't taken yet. Wait, is that? Oops, put the wrong audio source on. Okay, so let's see here. We've grabbed the armature, found Zenobia, attacked the outpost, met the council, find the gem, find Zenobia, rescue Lapino, find Zenobia. Okay, I think it's the rescue Lapino line that I still haven't completed, so Lapino, Zenobia, accept, don't. Lapina, Zenobia, reject, trust. Have I done any other Lapino lines? Lapino, Zenobia, accept, take. Okay, so I've completed the accept line. I need to reject and take Zenobia in. Find them both and then give them both up. Just gonna confirm that. Yeah, alright. Back to the choices. Go get Lapino.
Renato finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause. And maybe Renato could use that somehow.
Against my better judgment, I'm just gonna go save him again. What's the worst that could happen? I die like 4 more times?
Ah, Lapino. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens? The Ravens had taken the town. Renato had seen villages emptied like this. All the people taken away to be sacrificed in the Emperor's secret rituals.
This way?
Renato hoped the people were just hiding.
Oh, this might have been almost down here.
landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lapino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spy, well, unless he really was a traitor, obviously. Then they'd probably pin a medal on his chest. Lapino would betray him. But now Renato knew that. What would Lapino do if he knew that Lapino was going to betray him? Well, he'd concoct some crazy scheme, wouldn't he? That used Lapino's betrayal against him, and it would blow up in his face.
We're getting pretty close to another level.
Maybe he was overthinking
For another
this.
super unnecessary
That would be
power.
a first. Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato we capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows. And that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and
Go find Zenobia
his
and
only
then
daughter?
deny everybody.
that would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Oh, and I haven't done that line at all yet. So I guess that's going to be next after this.
Zenobia wasn't just the Emperor. The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty. Renato wondered if he could learn
This
to
isn't the
cook
right way.
this way.
Damn it.
Probably not.
And as usual, every time I play this game, I forget like 80% of the mechanics until I'm back in the flow of it. Just doing this one to get more damage and faster hook shots. Yeah, alright.
Why was Lapino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously it was a trap. But you never knew how Lapino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lapino wanted. And there must be some way to play on that, Renato thought. So,
No, that's a stupid plan.
what's this plan of yours?
I haven't
Use
even
me
said
as
what it
bait,
is yet, but
said
it's going to be
Lapino.
stupid, I know it
And he
is.
outlined a slightly
Something to do with a
complicated
watermelon,
plan
I'm
that
sure.
involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lapino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato. Oh, go ahead. I'm sure you know better.
I do,
said
and I
Lapino.
will.
Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bed. Now I just wanted some privacy, Renato said. Renato knew she still had feelings for him. Maybe he could just cut to the chase. But
did I not do that one already?
Right for that.
Oh, I guess it's slightly different route. Stick to the plan was the one I did? No, this one? Trust Zenobia? I guess so. At the very least, looks like I haven't done
I
this
know how
yet.
you feel about me, baby. I know you want to be with me, Renato said. What? The Emperor's evil, babe.
Is this the time to be a
Remember how
chauvinist?
nice I was back in school? You were an idiot in school. You said I was funny, said Renato, starting not to like how the conversation was going. The Emperor pulled me out of an alley. Don't tell me he's evil. Yeah, but did you ever wonder why? No, I didn't. Why don't you ask him? Well, because I know why. He wants to sacrifice you. You can tell him that when he interrogates you. Can't we just start this over? But Zenobia shut him in the hold of the ship. He had no one to explain anything to until he was brought to the Emperor's interrogators. After that, it was just screaming. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it.
Fudge.
The city was already
This
under
might be a
Zenobia's
doomed
control.
route.
I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia.
Am I
at
gonna
the
get
mercy of
one
the
more choice
interrogators.
after this if I,
Would he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty.
go try to assassinate the Frog?
Why was Lupino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously it was a trap. But you never knew how Lupino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lupino wanted.
Ow.
And there must be some way to play on that,
Strayed just a
Renato thought.
wee bit too far.
So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer
I don't know about
fire.
that Lupino. It sounds
dressing
kind
as
of
an old
convoluted.
blind toad,
Fine,
and
see if I
Bernardo
care.
hiding
I'm gonna go off and
inside
become
a
the main villain
monstrous
now.
Watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato. Oh, go ahead. I'm sure you know better, said Lupino. Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her. Now I just wanted some privacy, Renato said. Renato knew she still had feelings for him. Maybe he could just cut to the chase. But was timing right for that?
I know, I'm so irresistible with my charming good looks.
Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? And he told her
An
why.
insurmountable wit.
His Imperial Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him immortal. But to seal the bargain, he needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. You're lying. She was furious. You can't prove that. I can. And so...
Yeah, this is
set sail for
exactly the
Nexus.
same thing, except he just led with the "your dad's gonna kill you" bit. Instead of trying to use the moves.
The scientists at the observatory have resurrected...
Wrong way. It's
She
just
caught
over
up
here.
with him. Don't you think I'd know if my father started practicing black magic? Why? Would you want to join in? Oh, no, I'd destroy his books and... All right, I suppose I wouldn't. She stopped, troubled. He ran on. The rebellion had started after atrocities that the Empire hushed up. Renato had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred for one book. He had slept in a burnt village. Dead kittens and puppies had come to tell him what the Emperor had done to them. The scientists on this island had been investigating the Emperor's dark rituals on their own. They were neutral in the civil war engulfing the Empire, but they could see that the dark magics the old toad had loosed were changing the world. Renato hoped he and Zenobia weren't putting them in danger.
Ooh, just dashing is enough to kill them in that state. Man, why would I use anything else except for ice? Oh no, the frogs.
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers
Right,
everywhere.
odd-looking place.
The ravens had take me to your council, she said, shaken. I have things to tell them. It was what Renato had gambled on. The Zenobia would turn against her father.
Don't do that
once
one.
She knew his madness. But the rebel base was secret. Could he really risk taking the Emperor's daughter there, even if she did love him?
Alright. She could destroy everything. Renato's plan worked. Zenobia was now convinced her father was mad and had to be stopped. Or was she? Did he really convince her, or was she playing him like a fiddle? Leading her to the secret base might be disastrous. He should lie about the location of the base until he is certain of her sincerity. He would take her to the mountains. Yeah, the choice before this was the... this one? Yeah, it just ends with Lupino coming in the last second and fucking me over.
Renato reached Lupino, far speaker Toad.
No, we should take her to the base.
Insisted Lupino. No, I don't trust her. Nobody changes sides that fast. said Renato.
I better go to the base. Let them know you've got her.
Lupino said.
For some reason, Renato wasn't sure that was a good idea.
Just meet me at the far side of the mountains. There's a shuttle here I can take.
Always has to be your way, doesn't it?
Said Lupino.
Good luck guilt-tripping me, you bastard.
Zenobia was still shaking as they got out. I didn't know, she said. The Ravens kept it secret. At first they sacrificed prisoners, then villages near the frontier, and then an orphanage. Kittens and puppies. Sometimes he'd come back to the palace and it was like there were glowing things behind his eyes. But I was so busy. I'll clear a path for us.
You never know
Renato told
the red
Zenobia.
flags are there
So the
until
Ravens
you
don't
stop
see
to
you.
think about it after it's already too late. Ow. Alright, where are you? Fight over. Okay, there we go.
Zenobia came up as he massaged his sore arm. Her eyes were wet. He's been saying strange things. He asked me to do experiments. And some were wrong.
I was a little curious
They
when
are
he made me
banished,
perform that open
right?
heart surgery on
Said
somebody
Renato.
without any
Gone forever.
anesthesia.
I mean, he couldn't actually bring the old gods back, could he? She didn't answer him. That frightened him more than anything.
This was a roundabout way of getting there.
Sometimes it just doesn't matter how obvious those signs are. This. Higher, yet higher still.
Renato wondered if he should have taken Zenobia to the rebel base for real. Maybe she wasn't playing him after all. After the bleak talk about the Emperor's dark secrets, he was regretting his suspicion.
They came up on an empty shack. He gestured her in. Where's the base? She asked, confused. I thought we could talk a bit first.
Oh, you think I'm playing you? She was furious. I'm betraying my father who picked me out of an alley, and you think I'm playing you?
She lashed out. Her claws
People
splashed
are
fire into
betraying
his
me at
face.
every turn,
Energy
man.
boiled in her
I'm
other
taking
paw.
precautions.
Before she could
It's
kill
called
him,
a smart
he
play.
slashed his sword.
into her heart. She staggered.
I could have loved you. You son of a bitch. And then she died.
Renato
Hi,
stood
homie.
there,
Yes. I'm sorry. It's been a bad week
unable
for
to move.
streaming, I suppose.
Finally, a ship landed near him. Lapino had brought the Farfarer. On board the Farfarer, Lapino couldn't stop grinning.
But we're here tonight.
I can't believe you actually killed her. Why didn't I trust her? Renato said.
Yeah, Monday I think I ate some like
All he could feel was
bad
emptiness.
meat or something. I had a
You killed the Emperor's
big
daughter.
hamburger patty
You might
that
wanna
was
run
a bit
If you care
raw
when your
in the
liver
center.
died, that
So
is.
I gotta
Renato
stop
did.
poisoning myself.
He grabbed the wheel.
Too often am I eating things
Sailed
that
for
are
the Imperial
just like
fleet.
undercooked or a little overripe.
Renato had never felt worse.
And then yeah, Wednesday I had
Zenobia had listened.
neighbors coming over asking for
He'd
help
trusted
with
him.
their
She'd opened
oven
her
after it
eyes
crapped
to her
out.
father's evil. Done everything he had hoped for. He had taken her to a dirty shack. Was he so used to lying that he
Well, there you
trust
go.
even
Always
the
a
girl
bright
he'd
side.
always loved? The portal was heavily guarded. Let's go someplace they really
You get the
didn't
benefit
want
of experiencing the stress relief of having puppies around you without, you know, finals like what most students have to wait for.
He could see the rebels reeling back as he plunged into the ranks of the Ravens. He'd had to kill the girl he loved, but he'd also blown the biggest opportunity they could have had to turn the Emperor's daughter against him.
Not
Renato
well,
could
no,
only
they're
laugh miserably. He was taking crazy
so I think the
chances
issue
now,
was
swinging
that
wildly. He expected
the
Ravens to
oven
take
had
him at
actually
any
overheated.
moment, but they were running in fear.
And
wants to
just
fight a
needed,
man who
you know,
doesn't
time
care
to
if he
cool down
lives.
again because it doesn't look
No
like
one
there's
wants
been
to
any
fight
permanent
a hero.
damage. But I'm sure baked goods or something are going to be coming along soon. We're also just in the process of getting new asphalt laid down in the area, so people are preoccupied with working alongside the construction crew. But once things calm down, I'm sure can expect a care package or two.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about
Oh,
because the
no.
Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there?
Well, hopefully you can still make me out. Oh god, so tired.
He was exhausted. Could barely think.
Yeah, me
He wanted to
too,
stop thinking.
Renardo.
The rebels were already finished. and
God,
he
I didn't
was
even
the
do anything
last.
particularly
The Ravens were coming for him personally now.
cumbersome
In
today
waves.
to feel this exhausted.
didn't matter.
Apart from
He was slick with his own blood.
watching the Steam
but it
Next
didn't
Fest,
matter. In the
which
distance,
was exhausting
he
in its
could
own
see
right.
her, embraced
That thing
by
was
a halo
long.
of light, holding her hand out to him. Had she forgiven him? Would she take him to the halls of the Valiant? Then he felt steel in his belly, and his chest, and his back. And he lay down. and he couldn't see her anymore.
Did I just get smitten by an angel? Or smoten? Smited? Hero who goes down fighting when there is nothing left to live for. Alright, next path. Gotta go get Lapino and then start going for crazy world-ending artifacts. All right, good. My brand is still there.
Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were
Yeah, that
scouting
next
for the
fest
secret
was
rebel base. They needed a game changer.
You know, it's nice to see a new era of game festival shows, because the old ones were like really bad and really bogged down with a
had risen out of empty desert.
lot of really unnecessary shit, like ads upon ads and celebrities faffing about for minutes on end to then show off a 30-second trailer for a game that doesn't even have any gameplay, and then right back to faffing about.
Of course, Renato had a pretty strong
But no, now it's
suspicion
like
that Lapino had betrayed the
just
rebellion.
back to back
And
to
he had a
back
gut
trailers
feeling he needed to use that to his advantage.
from actual developers.
Renato finally
Almost too
realized
many,
that
actually.
Lapino
I,
was a traitor to the cause.
I
And
came in a little bit
maybe
late.
Renato
I
could
missed the
use
first
that
2
somehow.
hours of the next fest, and had to go
Lapino.
back to watch the
Apparently,
first
the
bit
Mad
later.
Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly
what was it?
own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble given time,
The
but he was out of time.
Dave
Lapino's frantic message
Dave the
said that
developer
the Ravens
was
were going to kill him for being
pretty
a rebel
alright. It's nice
spy.
seeing a bunch of small studios
clever
presenting their
plan.
games.
If the fleet
The
reached him first, they'd string him up for that.
Devolver
Never
Digital
mind the
presentation
winged
was like
Or so Lapino had
top
told him over the
notch,
fast speaker
and some
anyway.
really good games. Really good looking stuff in there.
Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge.
The next
by
fest itself,
arguing
though,
that he hadn't actually
yeah.
stolen the winged horse. He'd
Like going
only
back to
sold
watch
it.
that first 2 hours was very
Where was
tiring.
the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the ravens?
Oh god.
That was
Yep.
odd.
All right. There's a bug.
Renato had been here, at this exact place, at this exact time. This time, there were so many more ravens.
Does Stardew Valley have something in the works for this weekend? Because I know there's a bunch of other shows that are out tomorrow and Sunday, I
Renato
believe.
looked around the empty village and reflected. The Sky Ripper had turned out to be far too dangerous to be used. Time to turn to what he knew best.
Or have they already revealed what it is they're working on? I feel like I'm bugging out
Ravens were
super
landing
hard
everywhere.
on this run
The
for some
advanced
reason. What is
guard.
going on?
He'd better get moving. If they got to Lapino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lapino. Well, unless he really was a traitor, obviously. Then they'd probably pin a medal on his chest. Lapino would betray him. But now Renato knew that. What would Lapino do if he knew that
Lapino going to betray them. Well, he'd concoct a crazy scheme, wouldn't he? That used Lapino's betrayal against him and it would blow up in space. Yeah. Maybe he was overthinking this. Well, that would be a first.
Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, see, this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal.
Honestly, it'd be kind of surprising if that wasn't at one of the shows. There were a lot of games that were announced, like,
to kidnap Zenobia.
today, and we've got 2 more days of shows
Find out what
coming
she
up.
knows. And that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy.
Especially in a
lemon squeezy.
year
Capture
of so
the
many
Emperor's greatest
layoffs in the
general,
game
who
industry.
happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and
Things are just getting
his only daughter.
pumped out, and then people are
That would be
getting
worth it. And it would be nice
just
to see her.
fucked over.
He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him.
On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
The eye of a lost god must hold great power. Renardo and Lapino were back together, but Renardo still needed a game changer to save the rebellion. Even though Renardo could no longer get the Sky Ripper's armature, its core was still within reach. Maybe he could still harness its power with Lapino's help.
To make the Sky Ripper, the Transcendent Emperor had wrapped an armature around the eye of a god. Bernardo had already let that armature slip away to save Lapino's life. But even its core, the eye torn from a god, surely they could fashion a great weapon from that. The core of the Sky Ripper? Lapino's excited. That's an actual thing that we could just go and get. You've been busy.
He sure had. Renato told him all the things he'd been up to. Soon they got to talking about old times, about wages they'd won and lost, and scrapes they'd barely got out of. It was good to be back with his friend. True, the core was capable of terrible, uncontrollable destruction. But this time, he was sure it would work great. It's beautiful here, thought Renato. It was nice to be back with his old war buddy. All right. Lapino was a traitor. But still, it was good company.
Down the hole.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
If only he had a portal onto the Emperor's ship, this would be a short war.
Ah, you died too fast.
Renato felt wrong all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air.
Don't breathe it in, man.
If the land could have tumors, it would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest would be quieter than it could be. There were insects, a few birds. If you didn't catch the rabies. Renato smelled sick animals and dying. No health issues. And getting a bad feeling about this. Renato thought. Maybe Lapino was right. Maybe they should have kidnapped Zenobia instead of coming here. As he held the radiant icosahedron, Renato felt queasy. Like dozens of tiny worms were nibbling his insides.
It wasn't healthy to be so close to the eye of a god.
Yeah, seems like it.
Could he use
Do you
it?
maybe like need to
He could take it to the observatory. The scientists
run it
there
at a
could
lower
tell him how to
resolution,
harness its
or
ancient power. But honestly, Renato ached to get away from it.
He brought the core back with him to the Farfarer. But honestly, Renato ached to be rid of it.
Tell you what.
free up
said
some
Lapino,
bandwidth
I'll
somehow?
take it
I
to
don't
the
know, man.
observatory. You attack the Imperial outpost. The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret plans and maps and maybe even rebel prisoners. It was a good target for a hero like Reynardo.
But what if Lapino lost the core to the Empire? That could be a good thing, couldn't it? Was Reynardo ready to
Without the
take that
armature,
risk?
they're likely to blow themselves up.
Maybe it was better if he brought
testing
the core
it.
to the scientists himself.
Really? Huh. The core of the Skyripper, even without the armature, there had to be a way to tap its power. The scientists of the Nexus would certainly know how to do that. No, the core was far too important to trust to Lapino. Could Reynardo really rely on Lapino to bring it to their observatory? No, it was too risky. He would have to carry the core himself, even if doing so would expose him to its unhealthy aura. It's called radiation. Or anything to get rid of this creepy feeling, Reynardo thought. If he could rely on Lapino to bring them the core, Reynardo would instead assault an Imperial outpost and gain valuable intel for the rebellion. He would also stay away from the core's unhealthy aura. Yeah, let's see how this goes.
Trust me, Reynardo,
Get
you won't
mutant
regret
crows.
this. I'll treat the core like it was my own baby daughter.
As the Farfarer dived towards the Nexus, Lapino was jumping
And
up and down.
pray
with
he doesn't
excitement.
roll well.
Stop rabbiting around, Reynardo said. Lapino just stared at him. The moment the ship landed, Lapino leapt off the ship.
As Lapino vanished into the wilds of the Nexus, Reynardo vaguely remembered Lapino had a baby daughter, didn't he? And he told her mother he was going out to get some Easter eggs, and he'd never come back.
Oh god, what am I
Reynardo
stuck
was
on?
relieved not to carry the core anymore.
What is happening?
He was already
What
feeling
is
better.
happening?
And who knows, maybe this time Lapino would get it right. And if Reynardo could take the outpost, he'd have access
Hello?
to all the Empire's communications in the sector.
What the...
right?
Oof. Oof. Man, this game's falling apart at the seams. I have never seen that happen. To that extent, at least.
Reynardo caught his breath. His joints still hurt, but he couldn't feel the poison in his system anymore. He let the armature slip out of his hands to save his friend Lapino. Of course he had to let Lapino take the core. The rebellion needed every man doing his duty. And the rabbit would be no good taking on an Imperial outpost, right? Reynardo took the outpost with a song in his heart. Soon, he was stuffing his sack with key messages from and to the fleet. Then the Far Speaker Toad chortled a new message. The observatory had been sacked by ravens. Lapino and all the scientists had been taken to the mountains. Why? Why had he trusted Lapino again? And now the Empire had the core. Reynardo hailed the rebel base to warn them. But their Far Speaker didn't crouch back. Was the base under attack too?
Leave Lapino to his devices. Feels risky. But these all pose a risk. Trusting Lapino with the core was a foolish idea. Now he and the core were in enemy hands. He had to rescue Lapino again. Maybe he should rescue his friend. After all, none of this would have happened if he had taken the core to the scientists himself. Or something was wrong at the base. Maybe the Imperials wanted him to rush out and rescue his friend, to distract him from the real danger at the rebel base. Maybe he should leave Lapino to his fate and investigate the base. I mean, Yeah, definitely that one.
Lapino would have to wait. The core would have to wait. Renato had a very bad feeling.
I'm sorry,
that something
Lupino, your
was
friendship
going
means
terribly wrong at the Rebel
to
base.
me, but
This
we
location
got a
was
war to
secret,
win.
But secrets can be discovered. There were Imperials everywhere in the ruins, and dead civilians. The Ravens were killing everything in sight. Renato was relieved to see no rebels among the dead. Maybe the secret base was still secret, but there were huge burn marks on buildings.
Whoa, don't get blowed up.
What monstrous weapon was the Empire using here? The core had great power. Had they harnessed it somehow, even though they didn't have the armature?
There's what appears to be a wrinkle in my monitor, and I don't know if that's just the game or that's actually on my end.
Renato had rescued Lapino and sacrificed the armature. Saved the one over the many.
I hope that's just like a vellum filter.
Abandoned them to save the rebel council. Sacrificed the one to save many. Oh, if I ever get out of this alive.
He could smell charred
Eh.
flesh and hear screams.
Eyeballs.
The ruins were on fire. But the Ravens had rigged up the core as some kind of burning ray. They wouldn't need to know the secret location. They were burning everything. It was killing them too. Their black feathers littered the path. He would have to take the core from them. It was the last thing he wanted to do.
Oh my god, I got through that section without taking damage. Amazing.
The rebel base seemed quiet. That was good. Also, it seemed to be burning. That wasn't so good.
Man, that dash is far when I'm attacking. Let's see if I can line it up with something. Where'd it go? Where'd that wrinkle go? Okay, there it is. Bottom corner of the bottom stair. It's like moving it kind of like up and down on it. It's very hard to see unless I've got a like almost perfectly white background to throw it against.
As the last Raven fell, Renato felt worse than he ever had.
Maybe if
The core was
I
killing him again.
check the
The
stream.
council members cautiously came out into the smoke. You saved us.
Well, I don't think it's on this menu. I'm gonna have to
Speak.
wait.
They would put the weaponized core deep in a cavern, she promised, where its poison could harm no one. They would heal him if they could, she said. No, it's a weapon now. We need one. I'll lead the charge. It will kill you.
I've
croaked
grabbed
the
this
speaker.
thing without the
I
armature
guess it
before,
already
haven't I?
has, Renato said. She bobbed her head gravely. When
I don't
all
remember
this is
like
over,
experiencing such aggressive radiation
we'll name
sickness
our
any
new
other
capital
time.
City for you.
He flew towards the Imperial fleet. A myriad ships in disciplined formation, waiting for the signal to destroy the rebellion forever. Behind him, the rebels were charging. If he failed, they would die. And so the final battle began.
Everything hurt. It was unpleasant to fight this way. With each blow he struck with his sword, he felt weaker.
Yet each time the core fired, it got brighter. as if the heat from the burning ravens and buildings only fed its hunger.
He wondered where Lapino was. Wasn't he supposed to be in the battle? Captured, hadn't he? Oh, Ronaldo's mind was smoky now, like the burning fleet. He hoped this wouldn't take long.
Alright, tap. Oh no, I can't see it. I have to do some shenanigans with another window. Okay, no, that thing is definitely there. You can see it much more clearly on the background now. It's right underneath the platform. Ooh, little wrinkle. Okay, so that's definitely game side doing something. Yeah, don't worry about it. We're just continuing to like replay 90% of this game mostly. There's gonna be one thing of note, which will be if there's like even a new ending for me to get if I've done everything else.
They were going to name a capital.
And I can just give you the cliff notes on that next time I stream if you aren't here.
He had a better name. Where was Lapino? He missed Lapino's bitter outburst. Did he? Lapino had gotten him into this mess, hadn't he? The core was a wonderful weapon. Swept fire across the fleet. Ravens exploded in its gaze, and with every heartbeat it grew brighter. He would die. But he would die every inch a hero. Spectacularly changing history.
Well, I guess we've got the
Legendary
exact
heroes
same
of
dirt
war.
pattern on both of our screens in the exact same spot.
Sure. No, he couldn't remember anymore.
Get on there. Oh god, don't bug out again, please. Somehow I keep clipping through the terrain and ending up on weird planes of existence. Wrong platform? Oh, the fight's here.
Renato fell to his knees. The Emperor's bodyguards were lined up before his ship. Fierce ravens, all. And Zenobia. She was conjuring. He could not take another step. All he could do was fire the core. The ravens, Zenobia, the ship, all burst into flames, disintegrated,
Yeah!
and blew away. So they had one, after all.
Hero
The
sacrifice.
core grew brighter. He shielded his eyes, but he could still see it through his sleeves and through the flesh of his arm. And then he felt heat, as the fire grew to consume both fleets.
Ugh.
And then he felt nothing.
Another path done. Back to it. So go grab the core. Do whatever it was I did last time,
The
and
clouds
then
parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting
man, I've
for the
already
secret
forgotten.
rebel base. They needed a game changer.
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced.
I took the
Renato knew
core.
that using
No,
it
I gave the
could
core to
go
Lupino, and
catastrophically wrong.
then
But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also,
I took the core
temple had
afterwards.
risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lupino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lupino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Renato finally
God, you need to
realized
drag
that
your
Lupino
ISP
was a
by the
traitor to
ear.
the cause. And
By the
Maybe
sounds of how,
Renato could
like,
use that somehow.
unstable your internet service is. A shame they won't do anything about that. I'm really
Lupino
surprised.
had
We've got
apparently
like
managed to confuse
really
the
good
judge
service
by
around here
arguing
when
that he hadn't
internet isn't
actually
working.
stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the ravens?
The ravens had taken the town. Renato had seen villages emptied like this. All the people taken away to be sacrificed in the Emperor's secret rituals. Renato hoped the people were just hiding.
God, I think we're using Shaw right now.
Lupino would betray him. But now Renato knew.
Tellus used to be pretty good a while ago, but
What would Lupino do if he
started
knew
doing the dance between different
that going to
service
betray him?
providers whenever their
Well, he'd concoct some crazy scheme, wouldn't he? That used Lupino's betrayal against him and
services
would blow up its face.
started to fail,
Dirty and bloody.
or whenever they
Renato
tried to
finally reached
change
Lupino.
their packages.
The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lupino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. The prison thing. Right, yeah, see, this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia.
Yeah,
We
fuck that.
capture
Wow.
Zenobia, we find out what she knows. And that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him.
On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power. To make the Sky Ripper,
It's beautiful here, thought Renato. It was nice to be back with his old war buddy. All right. Lupino was a traitor.
Yeah, like what other options do you have then besides
It's good company.
Shaw? One of those smaller party providers, I guess.
there was something sour in the air. Like the
Oh, and
earth
Bell, right, I
eruption
forgot
over
about Bell.
something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
Hey, I got his friend as a swan. Can we join up? He dyes his feathers.
Renato felt wrong.
I think my mother was using Bell for a good while there.
Palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, they would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest was quiet. We're insects. Looking birds. We didn't cut the ravens. Renato smelled sick animals and died. No help. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. Renato thought. Maybe Lapina was right. Maybe they should have kidnapped. As he held the radiant icosahedron, Renato felt queasy, like dozens of tiny worms.
Sounds like a
living
freeware
inside.
video editing
It
program.
wasn't healthy to be so close to the eye of a god. How could he use it? He could take it to the
Not what I would have
observatory.
expected for an ISP.
Scientists there could tell him how to harness its ancient power.
Suppose they could
But honestly,
be doing more than just that.
Renato ached to get away from it. Tell you what, said Lapino. I'll take it to the observatory. You attack the Imperial outpost. The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to
Okay,
coordinate.
this is my third
It would be full of
decision,
secret
so
plans,
I
maps, and
follow up with
maybe even
that
rebel prisoners.
before
It was a
swapping over to
good
the other
target
one,
for a
I
hero like
believe.
Renato. But what if Lapino lost the core to the Empire? That could be a good thing, couldn't it? Was Renato ready to take that risk? Maybe it was better if he brought the core to the scientists
These old creaky
himself.
joints. Rescue core. Attack me council. Yeah, okay, so do this once more. Then I want to leave the council
As
alone
Lapino vanished into the wilds of the Nexus, Renato
and go save Lapino. That's what it was.
had a baby daughter, didn't he? And he told her mother he was going out to get some Easter eggs, and he'd never come back. But Renato was relieved not to carry the core anymore. He was already feeling better. And who knows, maybe this time Lapino would get it right.
Right, yeah, we have
And if
discussed this
Renato could
before.
take the outpost, he'd have access to all the Empire's communications in the sector. Right?
Still find it odd that people need house phones anymore these days.
Renato caught his breath. His joints still hurt, but he couldn't feel the poison in his system anymore. He'd let the armature slip out of his hands to save his friend Lapino. Of course he had to let Lapino take the core. The rebellion needed every man doing his duty. And the rabbit would be no good taking on an Imperial outpost, right? Renato took the outpost with a song in his heart. Soon, he was stuffing his sack with key messages from and to the fleet. The observatory had been sacked by raid.
Alright, go help your friend.
Pino and all the scientists had been taken to the mountains. Why? Why had he trusted Lapino again? And now the Empire had the core. Renato hailed the rebel base to warn them. But their far speaker didn't crouch back. Was the base under attack too? Who knew what was going on at the base? But he knew what the Ravens would do to Lupino if Renato didn't rescue him fast.
Well, actually, he wasn't exactly sure. It kind of depended on whether Lupino was a traitor or not. Renato just couldn't bring himself to believe that.
What are old friends for, if not to need rescuing every few days? Renato felt a twinge of doubt. Should he have gone to the base? No. Logically, wherever they'd taken Lupino was probably where they took the core, right? Oh, why couldn't Lupino have just for once not got himself captured? Was that too much to ask? He shouldn't be too hard on him. No, he meant well, and he was insanely brave. You had to admire that.
Another level. We're getting pretty close there. Oh, that crow is about to fall off the ledge again.
Where were they holding Lupino anyway? There was no sign of him or the Ravens who'd captured him. Just rocks and snow and the usual scouts. No sign of the core either. Was this a wild rabbit chase? Oh, trust Lupino to screw up even getting captured. But what was this rebellion for anyway? Well, Lupino was a useless goof. But he was a friend. If friends didn't matter anymore, what was the point of winning this war?
Right, I keep forgetting it's over here. Ooh.
Renato thought of the choices he had made so far. Rescuing a friend and then sending him to be captured. Recovering a super weapon and letting it fall into enemy hands. Risking an assault on an enemy base for military secrets.
Looks like he was just here.
At the end of the mountain path, Renato came to a clearing. It was a campfire. Raven feathers and... oh, Lupino's lucky deck of cards. Well, that wasn't good. Renato hoped Lupino had not tried to cheat his captors at cards. Ravens were much better than weasels at counting, and they had a very poor sense of humor.
Then, he saw what he had hoped never to see. Fresh scraps of rabbit fur. Ragged and bloody, ravens would eat anything.
By Crabthar's hammer!
Renato screamed at the sky.
I will avenge you!
The rebels had assembled their fleet.
Did they double cross
Clouds
Lupino?
dark with Imperial ships. If he could reach the Emperor before the rest of the rebels
Things
did,
don't always work out for him.
maybe he could settle this without
When
too
it isn't
much
my fault.
bloodshed. He set sail, and the Farfarer shot forward.
Poor Lupino had never been a great warrior.
Suppose that could be a
The Mad
diversion.
Rabbit was good for a lark and a laugh. And a pint. The thought of ravens eating him made Renato furious. The way they were eating up the land. The way the Emperor was eating up the people with his new, bloodthirsty ways. He would make them all pay.
Increase overall speed of the hook shot. Yeah, that's pretty close to instantaneous.
Portal led right into the middle of the fleet. It was a glaring weakness in the defense.
Where are you going?
Whee!
This is what it's come down to. Cannibal
He'd given up
warriors
every objective to save his friend. He'd given up the armature, the
who
core,
threatened to
the gem,
destroy everything we love
Zenobia.
and hold dear.
He loved Lupino, he realized.
Whee!
Now the rabbit was gone. A hero looks out for his friends, and even when
Always
they're gone,
have a little time for
he will
frivolity,
send
for
Lupino an honor guard
gaiety.
of ravens to serve him in the halls of the valiant. He would avenge him.
One more done. Got like... Oh, I don't know. 3 or 4 more routes to do?
Finally, he reached the Emperor's ship. And there was Lupino, surrounded by ravens. He was alive.
Yeah, throw me
He'd
off
eaten some other
again.
rabbit. I'll save you! He shouted with joy and flung himself at the ravens. Oh, you shouldn't have, said Lupino when the last raven was down.
Renato threw his arms around his best friend.
I had to come. I love you, man. You really, really shouldn't have, said Lupino. And Renato felt a rather sharp pain in his back. As he collapsed, Lupino took the dagger out of Renato's back and wiped it off on Renato's sleeve. Why? You always have to be the hero. Brave Renato, epic Renato, super sexy Renato. Now I'm sick of it.
As Renato died, all he could think was,
Damn it. Fooled
You're gonna
again.
kill me and betray your country because... jealous? Okay. Alright. Another route. 3 more and then we can wrap it up.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer.
pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Renato finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause.
And maybe Renato could use that somehow.
Ah, Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen the winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prisoner? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the ravens?
That was odd. Renato had been here, at this exact place, at this exact time.
Wrong way.
This time, there were so many more ravens. Lapino would betray him. But now Renato knew that. What would Lapino do if he knew that he was going to
Why
betray
am I getting
him?
that
Well,
particular
he
piece
concocted
of
a crazy scheme,
dialogue
didn't he? That used
in
Lapino's
this
betrayal
run? I should
against
know
him
that
and would blow up
Lapino
in his face.
is going to betray me.
Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle.
We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows. And that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him.
On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get
So I
the
get the
whole
core.
thing. It must have great power.
I take it instead of leaving it in Lapino's hands, and I've got two options for an ending there. So where's my last
make
route
the
coming
Sky
from?
Ripper.
What did I miss?
It's beautiful here, thought Renato. It was nice to be back with his old war buddy. All right, Lapino was a traitor. But still, it was good company.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
Do you guys ever eat fresh food? You don't smell like it.
God, where am I aiming?
Renato felt wrong all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, they would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest would be quieter than it had been. There were insects, but few birds. He didn't have ravens. Renato sick animals dying. No healthy ones. I'm getting a bad feeling about this, Renato thought. As he held the radiant icosahedron, Renato felt queasy.
Get the cancer core.
Dozens of tiny...
Tell you what, said Lupino. I'll take it to the observatory. You attack the Imperial outpost. The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret plans and maps and maybe even rebel prisoners. It was a good target for a hero like Renato.
But what if Lupino lost the core to the Empire?
Right.
That
Lost.
could be a good thing, couldn't it? Was Renato ready to take that risk?
Just like I was
Maybe
taken
it was better
prisoner.
if he brought the core to the scientists himself. Lupino was a touchy rabbit. Renato knew that.
You're brave, I know, Renato said.
But this is what I was hired to do.
Oh, well, at least let me run ahead and warn them you're coming.
Renato wondered if Lupino was up to no good. What if the rabbit warned the Empire instead? Oh, but Lupino wouldn't betray him like that. Not again. Before it'd been a fluke. Right? They finished the trip to the Nexus in silence. He would offer Lupino a chance to betray him, or not to. His old friend deserved another chance to prove true.
All right, Renato said. Go.
I give you 2 more chances at most.
As Renato watched Lupino vanish on the horizon, he could feel nausea building in him. He felt ill. Could his knees really be aching this much? But how could he have handed the core off
Oh
to
no.
Lupino?
Sudden onset
That was a recipe
rapid
for
aging.
disaster.
That or the radio waves that thing's pumping out are just slowly, well, no, very rapidly killing Renato. A little bit faster than a cellular phone. Get off the wall. Wait, there's a treasure, isn't it? Darn it. It's just over here.
Renato felt worse. All his joints were aching now.
I don't have Zenobia
He'd been
cut
through
me off there
beatings
this
that
time.
felt better than this. So the core had a kind of poison that could harm you without even touching you. That's new. Well, it had power. The rebellion needed something with power. And how was this any worse than a sword wound? Well, a death by sword was sudden and fair. This was just squalid. Piecemeal death, like old age.
Yeah.
How far exactly did these things travel?
And these shields kind of suck. Well, shucks. All dead again.
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists everywhere. Bernardo found the mad rabbit cowering under a desk. The ravens, they must have known we were coming. said Lapino.
Almost like somebody told them.
How did you... Well, see, I was doing a card trick with my lucky deck, and I kind of bobbled the cards, so I went under the desk to gather them up, and boom! I guess we'll have to take the car straight to the secret base.
Renato wasn't sure he believed that, but Lapino was talking so fast. It always seemed to make sense.
The secret rebel base. Yes. They had engineers there. But wait. Calaveras, the sage in the mountains. Maybe he would know what to do with the naked core.
The scientists on the Nexus were all dead, and with them gone, so was the plan to turn the core into a superweapon. To the High Sage. But there was one more scientist. Calaveras was the expert of the Skyripper. But did he have the necessary equipment alone out there in the mountains? Or to the secret base. Renato could still bring the core to the rebel base. The engineers there would tinker something, hopefully before he dies from the core's poisoning. Yeah, let's continue to just
The
be
secret base.
complete idiot and trust
Not even
Lapino.
Lapino knew where it was. They had engineers there. Those toads would surely know what to do with the core's power. And then he'd be free of it. But he couldn't take Lapino. The core would work its evil on him too. You
We only
stay
have
here.
our friend's best interest
Give
at
me the
heart.
coordinates. I'll meet you there.
Lapino seemed awfully anxious to have the coordinates of the secret rebel base.
Someone needs to bury these scientists. Why do I get all the fun jobs?
And with that, Renato returned to the Farfarer and took off.
The ruins were quiet, but Renato could hear a buzzing in his ears. Was it bugs? Or was it the core slowly feeding him poison? The council would know what to do. If the core had this much power, it could surely change the terms of the great battle that was coming. And maybe they would take this burden from him. Maybe.
The Empire's chokehold was closing around the rebellion. The base was still secret for now. But for how long? They would have to make a move soon. The core. They had to find a way to use the core.
How did it come to this?
Whew.
Renato had signed on as an adventurer.
Ah.
Sure, the Emperor had
Hesitated.
gone mad. Sure, Renato had heard horrors from the ghosts
Ooh,
of dead
and that
chickens
cost
and
me.
puppies sacrificed in his blasphemous rituals. But when he jumped in, he'd only been a little bored and slightly broke. And here he was, carrying a bucket of death across a broken landscape. Why not drop it and run? Because he hated to quit in the middle. That was his fatal flaw. He had to know how it all turned out. Renato felt new powers, ready to blossom within him, or something.
There's a... Oh, it's the upgrade statue, one staircase up. Darn. But I want my instant hook, I
He
guess.
dropped the core at the entrance to the council chambers.
Get that thing out of here.
Croaked the speaker.
It's making us sick.
How do you think I feel?
That's the core of the Sky Ripper, said Renato.
That's not useless at all.
Said an engineer toad.
It's poisonous. Look at the fox. He's ill. Probably dying.
Yeah, not useless at all, said Renato. So what do I do? Rub it on His Majesty?
Hide it in a
The
cake and
engineer
feed it to him.
chuckled. Bernardo didn't like it when engineers chuckled. Oh, I got it. Listen, I can make a bomb and spread bits of the core all over a circle about 100 paces wide. Little chunks of poison and death.
Cool. We're now, yep. Now we're turning the poison core into a nuke.
Bodyguard and chop off the head of the fleet. Yeah, and if we're lucky, might poison some of the ravens around there as well. What about me? Right, what about you? Well, I'll build in a timer. You can set it and run. No, that's a horrible idea, said Renato.
Well, we have to do something, yes?
Said the speaker.
This is something.
Renato couldn't argue with that.
And so, reluctantly,
Don't feel like I should have
Renato
trusted
loaded
these
the rigged core
frogs.
onto the Farfarer and set sail towards the Emperor's ship. The rebels took the fight to the Imperial fleet, but Renato was too sick to enjoy the view. He must have passed out as a firm hand grabbed him and shoved him forward. This was it.
The fleet seemed very big, and its ravens very tough. Or maybe he was just slower and weaker than before. He hated the idea of poisoning the enemy. It wasn't fair. Face to face with a raven, let the best swordsman survive. But they wouldn't even know what was killing them. Feather by feather, scale by scale. He didn't mind dying a hero. That sometimes went with being a hero. But he didn't feel at all like a hero. Not today.
Renato hoped this portal had been inspected recently.
Well, it doesn't appear to be slowing you down too much there, Renardo.
Exhausted. He was making stupid mistakes. His fur was coming off in bunches. Up ahead, he could see the Emperor's ship, long and sleek, a floating palace. The bomb
Yeah,
would
it's
only
nice and quick
poison a
now.
circle 100 paces wide. He would get as close as he could, set it, and run. Oh, this was a lousy way to win a rebellion, he thought. He didn't want a medal for this. He just wanted to be forgotten.
It is a bit of a coward's victory. Chemical warfare. I have a present for you.
Renato twisted the timer and the bomb as far as it would go and staggered off. His knees hurt. Oh, everything hurt. He staggered away as far as he could until he had to lie down. He could see the entire Imperial fleet from here and the rebel ships engaged with it. There was a blinding flash. And a second later, a monstrous thump. Burning rocks arced across the sky over both fleets. A wreath of fire shot outwards, rolling across the fleets. A pillar of smoke boiled up from where the Emperor's ship had been. It reached into the clouds.
It sounds like we didn't even need the poison core. You could have just used a bomb and blown up the ship.
It took Renato most of that evening to die. Some of the toughest ravens lasted all week. Some of the rebels in the furthest ships survived as much as a month. That winter, with neither empire nor rebels to rule them, the islands slid into banditry. And so began the Second Age of Darkness.
Welcome to Fallout. Okay, one more route, and then I'm gonna have to refer to the guide to see what I missed. Something to do with Zenobia.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas.
If I
It
do
was
the
time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble.
Lapino is a
Ravens were scouting for the
lying
secret
bastard, I
rebel
use that
base.
to my advantage, and then
They
go
needed a
save
game
Zenobia
changer.
route. Can I
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced.
opt out of it at some point?
Renata knew that using it could go catastrophic.
I feel like it railroaded me.
But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert.
The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact.
It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster.
Maybe
He could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Rabbit.
Renato finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause.
And maybe Renato could use that somehow.
Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen the winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled?
What is with this slow reaction time, man? Kill them.
The Ravens had taken the town. Renato had seen villages emptied like this. All the people taken away to be sacrificed in the Emperor's secret rituals. Renato hoped the people were just hiding. Lapino would betray him. But now Renato knew that. What would Lapino do if he knew that Pino was going to betray him? Well, he'd concoct some crazy scheme, wouldn't he? That used Lapino's betrayal against him and it would blow up in his face. Yeah. Maybe he was overthinking.
Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino.
Hello, friendo. Let's go get a cancerous artifact.
We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him.
On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power. To make the Sky...
It's beautiful here, thought Renato. It was nice to be back with his old war buddy. All right. Lapino was a traitor. But still, it was good company.
there was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
Calaveras had once explained to Renato how portals worked, but no matter how hard he tried to understand, the words just flew out of his brain. Renato felt wrong all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, it would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest was quiet and empty. There were insects, and a few birds. He didn't catch a raven. Renato smelled sick animals and dying ones. No healthy ones. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. As he held the radiant icosahedron, Renato felt queasy, like dozens of tiny...
Tell you what, said Lupino. I'll take it to the observatory. You attack the Imperial
You'll do no
outpost.
such thing.
The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret plans and maps and maybe even rebel prisoners. It was a good target for a hero like Renato.
But what if Lupino lost the core to the Empire? That could be a good thing, couldn't it? Was Renato ready to take that risk? Maybe it was better if he brought the core to the scientists himself. Lupino was a... As Renato watched Lupino vanish on the horizon, he could feel nausea building in him. He felt ill. Could his knees really be aching this much? But how could he have handed the core off to Lupino? That was a recipe for disaster.
Where sometimes it doesn't.
Renato
It feels
felt
like
worse.
Renato just goes blind
All
and
his
doesn't know
joints
where
were
he's
aching now.
attacking.
He'd been through beatings that felt better than this.
Although he's actually got a
Core had
reasonable
kind of
excuse
poison that
right
could harm
now.
you without even touching you. That's new. Well, it had power. The rebellion needed something with power. And how was this any worse than a sword wound? Well, a death by sword was sudden and fair. This was just squalid. A piecemeal death, like old age. Renato was no physicist, but he could have sworn
Worthless
something was wrong
shields.
with the trajectory of these cannonballs.
What's going on there? Got like a lightsaber there. Put that down.
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists everywhere. Renato found the mad rabbit, coward.
Renato wasn't sure he believed that. But Lupino was talking so fast. It always seemed to make sense.
The secret rebel base.
Save us, Calaveras.
Yes.
I don't want
They had
to die
engineers there.
slowly from radiation poisoning.
Calaveras, the sage in the mountains. Maybe he would know what to do with
And
the
doom
naked
everybody to
core.
the Dark Ages again.
The core was killing him. He needed help. The sage, Calaveras, had given him the maps to find the armature and the core. If anyone knew the true name of the Transcendent Emperor, if anyone knew how to assemble the Sky Ripper, Calaveras did. If anyone could heal Reynardo and render the core safe, at least to its bearer, surely it was he.
The base of the mountain was the only safe place for a landing. He would have to continue on foot, muscles aching.
Calaveras was a scholar, not a doctor. Could he really save Reynardo from the poison radiating from the lost god's eye he was so recklessly carrying? Oh, this was not a fun way to die. Even if he survived. No one would write ballads about the fox whose knees ached forever, would they? Not unless he paid for it. He hated paying for publicity. It was chilling walking through the living mountains. There was always noise up ahead. Insects, birds, the croak and flutter of ravens arranging ambushes. But close by, there was only the breeze and the trickle of melting snow. As if every living thing was holding its breath for his poisonous burden to move on.
Oh, I wasn't sure. The core is actually slowly killing me. Taking damage like every 3 seconds.
Calaveras was a renowned scientist before he was forced into exile. Now he was practically the last scientist, and he was Reynardo's last hope.
The core! Splendid! croaked Calaveras. Where's the armature?
I was hoping you
Why,
could help
I
me
was
with that.
Kinda hoping you wouldn't need it.
No, I don't. It's just a professional interest. We've got much better prismatics than the old TE ever did.
So Calaveras was an arcane engineer. He fussed at the core all day. He wrapped it with silver chains, and in front of it, he placed a huge, round ruby, so that it looked like a monstrous, floating eye. Ah, so, what is it?
Undone by silver.
The Oculum. It's my very first death ray.
And
Death
won't
ray.
poison me?
Oh, no. It's completely safe now.
Anything I should
I will
watch out
use this
for?
death ray only for good, not
Probably
evil.
pointing at any mirrors.
As he loaded the oculum onto the Farfarer, Bernardo was a little concerned about Calaveras. People who were utterly sure of themselves, he had found, were either experts or horribly wrong. Or both. But Reynardo only needed to fire the oculum once.
Yes, the conceited
He only
expert.
needed to destroy one ship, the Emperor's ship, and the war was over.
Reynardo plunged into the Imperial fleet. He felt the oculum humming. He no longer felt sick. This was going to be fun. Or at least, it was going to be over. Renato resisted the temptation to fire the oculum until the time came. He could sense its arcane energies yearning to escape the sage's wrappings. But it wasn't eating him alive. So that was a plus.
He felt good about himself. He'd saved a friend, he'd helped the rebels, he'd relied on himself, but he'd listened to others. So, the right sort of hero. Wise, yet decisive. Oliveras had been so sure it would work. Maybe he could fire it just a few times. No harm in that, right? But only when he absolutely needed to. Renado's arm was getting tired. The core was no longer eating at him, but he still felt weak. His stamina was shot.
But he had the oculum. When the ravens swarmed him...
Yeah, not gonna undo the damage that it already did to me.
It seemed to be warming up too, firing more and more often.
Maybe he should let it cool off. Yeah, he decided to stop using it entirely.
Renato felt ready to take on new powers.
Yeah, one more level. Still don't think I'm close to having all the abilities, though, which, man, you gotta play a lot of this game to get everything. Maybe I'll just get another health upgrade, give myself a nice round 200. Okay, I'm here. Now what?
Odd. The oculum was still hot to the touch. He almost thought it was getting even hotter.
Oh God.
That was ridiculous, of course. Anyway, he'd only to fire it one more time.
No, the last one was just peppering the field with like mustard gas or something. This is gonna be the actual nuke.
He could make out the line of ravens protecting the ship. Zenobia in front, conjuring. And on the deck, yes, that was His Imperial Majesty, pacing in his golden armor. Renato lined up his shot.
Golden armor? Yeah, that's not gonna protect you.
Caught in the beam, the ship
That's a
burst
soft.
into
That's
flames.
malleable as
The
shit.
ravens and Zenobia exploded. The Emperor too exploded. Renato waited for the beam to stop, but it only got brighter, and the oculum
Meltdown.
hotter.
Need water.
Frantic, Renato pulled the oculum towards the abyss. The ruby burst into flames. The shiny metal casing glowed, then melted. That was good. Now the core could cool off, right? Renato ran. The blast incinerated him instantly, along with both fleets. The shockwave could be felt across all Erda. That winter, with neither Empire nor rebels to rule them, the islands slid into banditry. And so began the Second Age of Darkness.
Well, I mean, there's gonna be fallout regardless of whichever one of those we did. A hero who seeks balance, who makes wise yet decisive decisions. Okay. One untold story left. Story number 6. That was a pretty long while you were gone there, homie. Like, almost an hour. So I need to do path number 6. Which one is that? Find gem? Wait, find gem. Don't I have to find the casing first? Find the gem, find Zenobia. Spare Zenobia, meet the council. That's the armature. There's this gem, I suppose. Ah, okay. So I gotta get the corrupted gem, find Zenobia. Find gem, find Zenobia, spare her. Yeah, I don't see anything like that around here. Okay, I guess that's it. Let's go get that gem. Oh, you've been busy.
The clouds parted. over
Dry
the
weather
Isles
gets
of
to
Borneo.
your eyes too, eh?
It was time
Always
to
gotta
choose. The
Keep a
rebellion
couple
was
of
in
these on
trouble.
hand.
Ravens were scanning for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer.
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Bernardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness.
Go get the stone.
And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion
I'm
that
done with
had
Lapino.
betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Rabbit bastard.
The island was windswept. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in the buried temple. Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now. Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals.
Oh god.
The Ravens were already
Camera.
here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late. He shouldn't get impatient.
Yeah, I usually have trouble in the mornings with dry eyes, especially after I've had a shower. Try to limit the amount of time I spend washing my face. Otherwise it feels like somebody's just blowing into my eyes all day long. Increasing maximum sword energy early on kinda would have been helpful. But I guess I'll just get one of these. Cover instantly from being hit. Or instantly kill enemies after I've gotten a big combo. Meh. Ow. Of course, I start using that dash attack a little bit more, and it's always on the guys who blow themselves up. Hey there, Ludlow. How's it go? What's this? Now I'm your dad? Make up your mind.
There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people. The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with Tomb Raiders.
It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up.
Get good then.
It was the stone, eager, thirsty.
Yeah, I suppose
That
that's an option
seems
too.
Tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once.
And he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him.
Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It
Oh,
was the eye of
jeez.
a lost god torn out by the transcendent.
Come on, you can
Emperor
hold out a little bit
power
longer.
greatest
2 more
weapon.
runs.
To the core, said the stone anxiously.
I will feed you no such
Even
thing.
though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he
What
had
do
a
I look
clever
like, your
plan
mother?
for dealing with it.
Alright, so I go get Zenobia. And then I spare her and then do something else. I already forgot what it was.
Why was he listening to?
As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Renato had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the transcendent emperor? Was it the future? It whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls. Its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Now, before I kill you guys, Renato said, do any of you know where I can get a smoothie around here?
The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for Renato. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him.
He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he?
I'm doing fine. A little bit tired after sitting through a very long Steam Next Fest.
Zenobia was waiting for Renato. She
It's a pretty
alone,
alright show.
confident as
First
always.
first half, nah.
Danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender?
But
She seemed as cocksure as he felt.
Dave
But
the
she
Dev
didn't know
and
he had the stone. And I've missed you too.
Devolver Digital especially had a very good show.
She spotted the stone and bolted without another
Lots of good
word.
games from that publisher. Hey, Zenobia.
Finally, Renato caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school,
Nah, don't
she'd
mind,
been
don't
a
mind.
determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. Kill her, whispered the stone. You cannot win your rebellion without it. Please. No, said Zenobia. Not that way. Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem?
Nah.
But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone.
I think.
Oh,
We can just go reconfirm that. Spare her and then meet the council.
could he be the hero he wanted to be? Renato hesitated. Zenobia was his...
Now we'll go reveal the truth of your father.
Renato felt a little sick. Ever since Zenobia had taken the stone from him, he'd felt an ache that wouldn't go away. He missed it. He wanted it back. He needed it back.
Baby, come
Why
back.
hadn't he killed her when he had the chance?
You can blame it all
She
on
was the
me.
enemy. He hadn't even seen her in 14 years. Why had he hesitated? You were a sucker for an empowered woman. Renato kicked himself. Don't make that mistake again.
If it ain't one thing, it's another with you, eh?
Zenobia thought the stone was evil. Was it?
Well, if it's a browser issue, that one's pretty easy to fix. You can
Still
just
longed to have
try a
it back.
different
He'd felt
browser.
So good killing ravens with it, and yet he'd felt
Chrome's fine, Edge is fine,
ever since he'd touched it.
Firefox
She
is
confused
fine.
him. She'd made him want to be a better fox, and then she'd abandoned him,
One of those should
never telling
do
him
ya.
she was the Emperor's daughter, never contacting him since. Well, who was she to tell him the stone was evil?
So long as you're not
Energy
using
cannons.
an Explorer
Last
or
argument of kings.
Safari. And I don't know where Opera's at these days. I know that they've been advertising a little bit more, or at the very least I've been seeing them advertise a lot more recently. It's been a long time since I used them though, so no idea how they've gotten on. Oh my, they're not dead this time.
The scientist's toes were pointing arcane instruments at the stone and looking at it through prisms and reflections. Mine, said Renato as he took back the stone. Well, we need it for science, croaked the toads. So he killed them. He felt better immediately. Smarter, too. I thought you'd never come for me,
My
whispered the
hero.
stone. Then, a far-speaker toad croaked in something like Zenobia's voice.
Leonardo, leave the stone with the toads. It will swallow your soul. Will kill everyone you love.
That did seem vaguely familiar.
So I'm not
Renato had an army
and
to lead.
probably just like missed this at some point, but what the hell is a far speaker? Is it just like a small hand-sized toad that they use as a radio? Is it like the Den Mushis in One Piece? Kill the Far Speaker and go lead the rebels to victory. Zenobia, the Emperor's adopted daughter and greatest general, gave Reynardo a dire warning. The stone would swallow his soul. It had to be a lie. Of course she would say that. She had to stop him from leading the rebels to victory. Yes, he should head for the rebel base and win this war.
Whispered the stone. It was right. Wasn't Zenobia the Empress?
I wouldn't say that. This is my last path I gotta do, and then I'm gonna go do one more run for the good ending, see if anything's changed. And then we'll be done with this game, finally.
Added the stone.
About time, too.
I would, thought Reynardo. Or maybe he said it out loud.
He would go see the council and lead their armies to victory.
It's been fun, but, like, yeah, it is a very unnecessarily long game for how much content is actually available.
Ah, the ruins. Reynardo had come there as a kid when it was still the fabulous city of Ubar. Before the Emperor's ravens had come to pillage ancient books from its library and destroyed it. Now the rebel council lay hidden underneath the ruins. And between here and there, all these ravens to kill. They deserved it for what they did to the city.
Yeah, actually, I almost ended up playing, a different game on Monday, because I'd forgotten that I hadn't finished stories. And then that didn't end up happening, anyway, because I, didn't feel great and ended up skipping the stream. And then had to skip Wednesday's stream because I got preoccupied at the last minute helping out my neighbors with appliance problems.
Whispered the stone. Reynardo knew how the stone felt. Each raven he killed gave him a little jolt of pleasure. But he could only kill them so fast, and the pleasure wore off too quickly. Hopefully soon he would face a more powerful adversary. Yes, whispered the stone. But not with a bunch of mangy ravens. As he reached the secret entrance, he was shocked to see Zenobia talking with the council.
Oh my god.
She bore a white flag.
And now I'm gonna ruin it all.
Whispered the stone. What are you doing here, love? Reynardo demanded. Come for the brown muffins?
She's worried about you.
Croaked the council speaker.
We all are.
All I had to do was have a murderous meltdown and everybody was like, no man, we can put this war aside.
He leapt at her. Unfortunately, the council speaker blocked him. So he slew her.
The intervention came a little too late, unfortunately.
I'm not giving up, cried Zenobia as she darted off into the ruins. I think I just killed the entire rebel council. Said Reynardo. See how much power they've given you. But they were on my side, weren't they? No one is on your side, except for me. He set sail for the fleet. There, at least, there would be enemies to kill.
I feel like the Iblis Stone was a lot more deceptive in the past. Making me kill what I thought were
Unless that was the
flocks of ravens instead of a
be sure.
council of toads.
Anyway, who needed other rebels here? They'd only get in the way. A true hero fights alone after he's got all his friends killed.
The portal
Now
was
this one's just
guarded.
gaslighting me.
Must go someplace they really didn't want him to go.
The world was so beautiful. Everything was glowing, breathing, alive. Except, okay, the ravens had killed. But the wind was alive, like a million fingers caressing his hair. He'd never felt so powerful. He never felt so sexy. Somewhere down the path would be the Emperor.
Do you have this issue with
Powerful man in Earth.
like all live service stuff, or is it just Twitch that's especially bad for you?
That was good. Was it good for you?
Oh god, stuck. Yeah.
At last, he was face to face with Zenobia.
Seems like you just don't have many options.
She was still unarmed. No fire crackled from her claws. Excellent. Kill her, whispered the stone. He raised his sword for the killing blow. Is this what you really want? She asked. Or is it what the stone wants? Think of the power, insisted the stone. I don't want to kill you, he told Zenobia, his arm still raised. I know, but he could not put the sword down. It wants blood, he told her. I know. Help me, he said. She stabbed herself. Take my blood, she said.
No.
You mustn't, cried the Iblis stone. Oh no! Why did you? He ran to embrace her, and she plunged her bloody
We shall
dagger
go
into
together.
his heart. Why? He said. We'll be together in the halls of the Valiant, she said. I love you, he said. Thank you. And the Iblis stone screamed, and then it began to glow. It burst into flames. It burned like an ember. And then it was ash that blew
So
away.
its weakness was love.
And Zenobia and Reynardo died in each other's arms.
Or was a little too tightly bound to Reynardo's life force. A hero who fights alone after he's got all his friends killed. Alright, cool. Every path has been done. So now I should just be able to do the complete true route. Maybe. Roll it back one last time.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer.
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
You can't make new, old friends. The rebellion was out of time, and Renato needed a game changer. Even though Lapino wasn't what anyone would consider a game changer, he could come up with some harebrained schemes. Maybe rescuing him was worth it.
Renato finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause, and maybe Renato could use that somehow.
Renato could use that somehow. What to do with the knowledge about Lapino's treason? Renato would be foolish to trust Lapino again. He should confront him, or better yet, find a way to use the traitor against his new master, the Emperor. Maybe Lapino could be a game changer after all.
Renato couldn't quite put his paw on when he'd realized Lapino was working for the Empire. He'd never exactly seen Lapino sending
Somewhere
code
after like
messages
the
to palace.
third
Sure.
run.
The rabbit had been on too many disastrous missions where he was the only survivor, or where he accidentally missed getting on the boat that went down to the abyss in flames. If Renato could prevent Lapino from getting back to the fleet with all the intelligence he'd probably gathered, it might be worth the trip. How had they come to this? They'd been on so many adventures together. Lapino had talked Renato out of prison at least 4 times, and Renato had rescued Lapino from at least 2 lynch mobs. But he'd always felt that the rabbit resented him. Lapino was hilarious because he was so down on himself and everyone else. But behind the laughs, he wasn't a happy camper. Was this payback? Or did the Empire have his little white tail in a vice? Renato had learned so much. It was time to turn it into something he could use.
Probably not going to get any more here, so let's just finish this one off. 200 HP. Oh God, get away! Why am I not throwing?
Bloody and exhausted, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing shuffling his favorite deck. Now that he knew what the rabbit was, there were a few things about him that Renato didn't find so amusing anymore. You sent me an urgent message saying that you're in danger.
Oh, I am. The ravens are coming. Now, I got a clever plan to kidnap Zenobia.
Renato wanted to clap shackles on the rabbit and shout, "You're a traitor, and I'm not falling for it." But if there was one thing Renato was sure of, it was that the core of the Sky Ripper was dangerous mostly to its user. If he could put it in the Emperor's hands, old Isengrim III might blow himself and his fleet up with it.
So
Yes,
I think
that
veering
was it.
off course at this point just causes a bad end. So I need to go send him after the core. Send the traitor to fetch the core. Renato realized how good an actor Lapino was. No surprise, he has been fooled by that traitor. Maybe he could give that smug traitor the location of the Skyripper's core. And while Lapino delivers the unstable weapon to the enemy, Renato would pay Zenobia a visit.
Renato felt like a real hero, brave and smart. He told the rabbit all about the Sky Ripper's God's Eye core. "I'll go get the core while you attack Zenobia," he told the rabbit.
Oh, wait, I've an even better idea. I'll get the core and you attack Zenobia,
Said the rabbit. "Right, yeah, that is better," agreed Renato. Perfect. The traitor would make sure the Emperor got the core. Now Renato just needed the Emperor to use the core. If he could only get something that the Emperor wanted very badly. Zenobia. He could save her and bait the Emperor at the same time. Right. Now, all Renato had to do was fight his way through Zenobia's invading troops, sneak onto her ship and into her bedroom, and kidnap her without any of her dozens of guards alerting her. Then, he would rely on her love for him to convince her how evil her father was, so she'd run away with him.
This
going
plan
back
is
to her
still a
father,
very
who
long
was going to blow
shot.
himself up. It did sound a little risky. But Renato had a feeling it would work out somehow. It always did.
Oh, actually I got through that rotation quickly this time.
Renato was halfway to Zenobia's encampment when Lapino showed up. He was disheveled and distraught.
They jumped us. I barely got away. Oh, they got the core.
How do you manage to get the
It was
core,
all going
lose it,
according to
and then
plan,
get
thought
here
Renato.
that quickly?
Now he just needed Zenobia on his side.
Fucking fast rabbits.
Yes, that was even better. The Iblis Stone. Zenobia could get it. And then the Emperor would have to pursue them. Wait. No. The gem would corrupt anyone. Even her. That's it, he thought. Even Lapino. Even though Lapino was already a traitor.
Lapino, would you
turn
mind
him against his
pilfering another
secret
legendary
master,
artifact for
the
us?
Emperor. He would try to make himself Emperor. And the Emperor would have to defend himself with the core. Boom. He was a super genius.
Send Lapino to get the the stone.
This is terrible, Renato told the rabbit. If only I had gone for the Iblis Stone. But now it's lost in enemy territory. He handed Lapino a map. It gives the bearer so much power. We can only hope the Emperor never finds it.
What was that?
Said Lapino.
I think someone's following us.
I didn't hear
I
anything.
got magic swords. That's
You
something.
go ahead. I'll check it out.
And with that, Lapino hopped
And
off
an
the map.
unnaturally quick dash. And conspicuously the Sky Ripper, which is still hovering around my head.
Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. She was curled up on her bed. He'd forgotten how beautiful she was, how sleek, how soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She was made of smoke, and he noticed he had a very solid blade to his throat. "Did you really think you could capture me?" purred a familiar voice. "I just wanted to chat," said Renato. "Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? He needs a sacrifice, someone who truly loves him, to make a bargain with the lost gods." "That's a vicious lie. He wants to bring them back." "No, that's crazy. Why would anyone..." "They could make him immortal. An eater of souls." And with that, her eyes widened. She understood.
Oh,
Renato
it all
told
makes
her
sense
how
now.
he had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred.
Years of
How he had slept in
super
a burnt
suspicious
village.
behavior.
At midnight, the Emperor's victims had
Swept
come
under
to
the
him in
rug,
his dreams,
only to be
telling him
found
of the
after
hideous
you
eldritch rituals they'd been sacrificed in. He could still
flipped
see
it
those
open.
kittens and puppies, their wide, sad eyes, their moist noses. "You can't prove that." "I've got a witness at the observatory." He couldn't tell her, not yet, why he was really here. He didn't want her to be anywhere near the fleet when her father blew himself and Lupino up. So he told her about how the Emperor's obscene rituals had raised ancient artifacts out of the land. How he'd followed the appalling trail of the hideous horrors His Majesty had perpetrated for the sake of his own immortality. "Any of this ring a bell?" he said. "He told me it was all lies." "You've always known when I was lying. I always hated that about you," said Renato. The rebellion had started after
You can tell when
atrocities that
he's
the
lying,
Empire
but
hushed
not when
up.
he's misconstruing the truth.
Renato had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred for one book. He had slept in a burnt village. Dead kittens and puppies had come to tell him what the Emperor had done to them.
Oh wait, no, not that far.
"Don't you think I'd know if my father started practicing black magic?" "Why? Would you join in?" "No. I'd destroy his books and I'd..." Oh, God. Okay, you're not completely wrong. They've resurrected one of his victims. Well, look, I mean, look, it's not exactly alive, but it can talk. A true witness, she said.
Ah. Oh,
The
shucks.
observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The Ravens had taken special care to burn the reanimated witness to cinders. Zenobia stared at the carnage. He didn't want me to hear the witness, did he? I guess not. What's your plan? She asked. So, Renato explained his brilliant gambit. Sending Lapino to get the Iblastone, become super powerful and corrupted, provoke the Emperor into using the core against him, thus blowing up both of them, and hopefully the fleet too. Let me visit your council, she said, shaken. I want to help. Could he really trust her?
Oh, no, this one I was unsure about. I'm pretty sure I can trust her. That's the Zenobia still loves us link that we haven't made use of yet. Trust her and take her to the secret base. Renato's plan worked. Zenobia was now convinced her father was mad and had to be stopped. But it seemed too easy. Did he really convince her, or was she playing him like a fiddle? Why hesitate now? You should tell her the exact location of the secret base and meet her there. I mean, we could go together. Don't know why we have to split up if we're both headed to the same place. Sounds like we could just save money carpooling.
He'd done it. He'd made Zenobia see how evil her father really was. He wished she didn't feel this urge to join in the rebellion. After all, he'd taken care of the Emperor, right? Yeah, but she'd always been conscientious like that. She told him she had to go somewhere first. So Renato gave her the location of the secret base, and they agreed to meet in the ruins. He had a very good feeling about this.
Is she about to go
What
corrupt
had Zenobia
herself?
gone off to do? What was more important than meeting the rebel council? Had he made a mistake, sending her to the ruins? No. He knew they could trust her. He could trust her because she never broke her word. And she could trust him because she could see right through him. Well, she'd probably be there well before him. She at least didn't have to fight her way through rainstorms of ravens.
It's more like a trickle, and ravens are really not that much of an issue, Renardo.
As he came around the bend, there was Lapino, unconscious on the side of the path.
I told her
Renato
too
smelled a
much.
Familiar, sweet, smoky scent. Who? Zenobia. It had to be. She never used a combat spell when she could use drowsy gas. That meant she had the Iblastone. What would it do to her? She hated her father now. She'd kill him for sure. The council wouldn't mind if she killed the Emperor, but murdering
Ow.
her father would destroy her. He had to get to whatever ledge she was on and talk her down from it.
I always get myself hurt in that room.
So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good.
Everyone in the council chamber was dead. Zenobia stood shivering in the courtyard.
drenched in blood.
Why?
He managed.
They started arguing with me. I lost my temper and I wanted their blood. Well, not me. The stone did. Why did you take it from Lupino? I had a plan. You had a stupid plan, she said. I'm going to go kill my father now. No, you can't. You'll just take his place. You'll become worse than him. Get out of my way, or I'll kill you too.
Pretty sure that just ends with her taking over the world. Stop her in the Iblis Stone. Zenobia had the Iblis Stone. Now she was strong enough to defeat the Emperor. The stone would consume her soul. Trying to stop her would likely be fatal, but the feelings she had for him had to mean something, right? He had to try.
You won't kill me, he said. And I won't let you kill the Emperor. Enraged, she raised the sword. You hate him too? He could sense the Iblis Stone, yearning for his death. But she didn't strike. If you kill him, he'll destroy you. I know you. Shut up! She shouted, her sword trembling. I won't lose you again. Not for anything. Get away from me, he said, and he was very close. I can't lose you again. And he was in reach of her sword now. I hate him! I hate you too! I love you, he said for the very first time. And then she was weeping. He was holding her. The sword had dropped from her hand. He glanced at the Iblis Stone. It was no longer the black of the void. It looked like coal. No. It glowed.
Yeah, it's definitely love that kills the
cinder.
Iblis Stone.
It was crackling, burning, crumbling into ashes. You've always loved me, haven't you? She said. She was weak. The stone had taken so much from her. Always, he said. She staggered as he helped her up. Let me take you away. Where? The island of Avalon. The sisters will heal you. He'll follow us. Then we need the Farfarer, the fastest ship in the Empire. The Empire had seized his ship. They'd have to take it back. Right into the middle of the fleet. It was a glaring weakness in the defense.
Oh my god.
Zenobia was in no shape to fight.
Physics of this game sometimes.
He wasn't fighting for money or loot or...
No, not sometimes, quite often.
He was fighting for her. For them. His sword danced, his feet flew, and her razors recoiled from his ferocity.
Hello?
There it was, his beautiful skycraft, the Farfarer. They would fare very far indeed, beyond the Empire, beyond the reach of the Empire, to the mystical island of Avalon. He didn't know exactly where it was, but he knew he could find it. And they would find peace there. Second star on the right, and straight on till morning, laughed Zenobia. And they laughed together for the first time in a long time.
Last fight. Ow. God, I forgot how many there are in that last volley.
But they did not go unnoticed. Scout ships lifted off, and a long lance of the Imperial flagship. Renato turned downwind to gain speed. The Raven ships could pursue.
That
They couldn't
smile.
close. The far speaker croaked.
That
You
shit-eating
return
grin.
her and live.
Go sacrifice yourself, yelled Renato.
Then you won't have her either.
On the flagship, the Emperor was readying some arcane weapon. It couldn't be. It was the core. A devastating beam lanced out of the flagship. Renato zigzagged wildly to keep the Farfair out of it. Now the Raven scout ships were closing the distance, and the beam was getting closer too. Then came a blinding flash, and the air was searingly hot all around him. There was a thunderous, deafening roar. He could smell burnt oak and burnt feathers and burnt flesh. But when he could hear and see again, they were alive and unhurt. And they were alone in the sky. Zenobia embraced him. They had done it. Through luck and through love, they had won the war. "Avalon, here we come," he said as he held her arms wide in the prow of the boat and let her feel its speed. Maybe the real Avalon is wherever we're together.
Oh, God.
And so, after
All the
a bit of
quotes
an
and
argument,
memes.
Renato and Zenobia went to one of the two Avalons. The one shrouded in mists. Or the one in their hearts. But which one they went to, I'll never tell.
Tell me, I did all the routes. Tell me.
He'd done it. He'd forged his own destiny. Well, he hadn't actually done it. But he knew what he would do. Renato smiled at the book. He practically wanted to kiss it. The kid's sacrifice hadn't been in vain. He'd saved the book and saved the world. Renato owed him and his mother so much. Renato lowered the mainsail and let the Farfarer shoot forward in the breeze. Second star to the right, and straight on till morning. This time, he would win.
And Lapino would lie face down in the gutter. Conked over the head by Zenobia. Woo! Alright, well, we're going to be closing out here in a second anyway, so thanks for stopping by, homie. We'll be back on Monday with... I said this last week, but Parasite Eve, third birthday, I believe, is what was on the docket next. So look forward to that. Hopefully I actually, stream more than once next week. I'll try not to poison myself, and I'll hope my neighbors can keep to themselves. Well, well, well. Well, 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 well. Yes, indeed. All right. Thank you very much for stopping by. I will see you next time. Take care and good night.